Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
We're readers and writers.
We're sci-fi and fantasy fans, and this is
The best of all worlds. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. And today we are bringing you some more Dungeon Crawler Carl reviews.
Woo!
We're having a good time with this. And so hopefully some of you out there are interested in hearing more. You're following along, reading the series, or you've already read the whole thing and you just want the perspective of us newbies coming along. So should be a fun time. Today we are talking about book 3. The Dungeon Anarchist's Cookbook. And I'm really excited to get into this because this has easily been my favorite so far. It's got trains
so.
and other stuff and trains.
And trains. It's all about the trains.
So I made the choice to bring this book with me on a trip to Europe where we did a lot of riding of a metro, and it was just like perfect timing. I was like riding on the metro. I could just imagine like Carl and Donut coming through here killing monsters right now. It was great. It was a good time.
That's beautiful. And meanwhile, it made me think of this one show that I really like, which is called Alice in Borderland. And they have an episode that takes place on trains, which is also life or death.
Nice. Yeah. It's a good time. If you like trains, this will be for you. If you like Dungeon Crawler Carl, it'll still be for you, even if you don't like trains quite so much.
Yeah, and if you just like character development, I think this one will be for you because there's, I think, in my opinion, the most that's been happening in this series so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Like, this was, not only were the trains fun, but like the overall plot was really interesting. There was some really cool like character development in this, and we're starting to get like hints of a bigger theme that I'm very excited the direction this is going in. So it'll be good. But this is your warning. This is gonna be like full spoilers from here on out.
Spoilers.
Full spoilers through book 3, not full spoilers for the whole series, because obviously we haven't read it yet.
Yeah, we're not going to try to hold back anymore. If you're listening to this one, you better have read the book already. Like, what are you doing? If you don't want to be spoiled, please come back later.
Yes, please come back and listen afterwards so you can geek out with us about how fun this book is.
Yes. Well, I think that's a perfect segue for us to just get right into our kind of overall thoughts.
Yes. So yeah, as I mentioned, easily my favorite of the series so far. I rated it like a very solid 4.5 stars. It kind of had the combination of all the things I enjoy in a story, where I felt like the plot was a lot more like cohesive in this one than in the previous one. The character development was good. We got to know some new characters who got to like grow throughout the story, as well as Carl and Donut growing throughout the story. We had just more of like the fun like puzzle solving, except this time they were having to coordinate with like the rest of the dungeon, which I thought that was really cool. And this is me being a supply chain manager by trade, but the logistics of the trains, it was so interesting, like how, like, you know, if a train crashes, that has consequences for the other trains down the line. How does like the whole system impact itself? And so this book was like kind of tailor-made for me. I will fully admit that. Like, I probably enjoyed this more than the average person because I like logistics. But it was a good time.
Yeah, I can't lie. That part was definitely not the most interesting to me. In fact, I was kind of like overwhelmed with detail with that. I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm ever gonna understand this without seeing a picture of it. So you can explain these tunnels and the impacts and all that all you want. My brain is not gonna imagine it. But I did really like the overall character and world building around the character relationships, where Carl and Donut and Katya, they're working together with a lot of other crawlers, and they end up helping to save thousands of people with their plan in a way that those crawlers would not have made it without Carl's intervention. Like, they for sure would not have made it, and in fact, they may or may not have upset the syndicate, but we'll see what happens. we'll see what they did not seem super happy, and they're like, oh, well, we didn't expect so many to live, so we're probably gonna have to make things harder next level. You did this to yourself, you guys.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that really got me intrigued for this one. And I actually rated it really highly. Probably one of my favorite books I've read in a while. So
Nice.
a little over a 4.5. Not quite a full 10 out of 10, but pretty solid. Higher than the last one for sure.
I totally agree on like the character like relationships and the working together and trying to save as many people as he can. That was definitely one of the most compelling parts of this book and why I think
Yeah.
it landed like more strongly in terms of themes than the previous two, because it was like Carl is putting like systematic stuff into place to like try and help as many people as
Right.
possible, and he keeps helping and helping even though he keeps getting told again and again by people like, you're crazy, like why are you trying to help these people, you can't help everyone, and he's like, gosh dang it, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Exactly.
And in the end, like, I just love how it comes full circle, and he spent all this time helping people that he keeps getting told he shouldn't be helping. And then in the end, they come in to help him. He gets like a little like
Yeah, that
rescue
was.
squad at the end. It was like, oh, that was so satisfying. As an
Yeah.
author, I appreciate that thematically. I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
on
I know
point.
you're a big fan of found family, and that is like the definition of this book, I would say. Like, this book,
Yeah.
especially compared to the other two, there's a lot of found family, like with the different groups kind of scattered throughout. Batista being one that slowly became close in his like lion form, even though like in all mindsets he should not like Carl because Carl screwed him over in the last level. And yet here they are becoming friends and co-conspirators in this ploy to help so many people. And then in the end, when all those people drop their hats for Princess and Carl is like, thank you for saving their lives. Like that was really wholesome. It made me feel feelings.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was just it was so good like just getting to see like Carl like making these friendships with people who weren't in his group, making those ties. I loved that Elle and Amani came back and we got to meet them. Elle was a
Elle is
blast.
such a funny character, dude. Like, she has no filter whatsoever. When she was talking about the mushroom guy, I was like, oh my god, lady. You're too old to talk like this. Let me cover my ears.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
fun.
I really enjoyed the relationship that built up with Katya as well. Like, at the start, Carl's really treating Katya kind of like an accessory or like, you know, a burden that he has to manage and try to take advantage of while he can, which is probably fueled a little bit by Mordecai kind of telling him to do that a little bit. But as the story progresses, it's Carl. Carl cares about other people no matter how much he tries not to. Like, he will still care about people, and he ends up becoming friends with Katya as the story progresses. And while it came off as like him doing things that were practical, such as giving her the backpack that was full of supplies that she could use at will, at first it kind of felt like he was doing that as a sort of personal gain, but the more they worked on that, the more it felt like he was trying to help her more than himself.
It kind of had like a moment there in the middle where he's like, yeah, I keep making Katya do all these things and get stronger and buff up, but I've never like actually asked how she feels about any of it. Maybe I should be doing that. And he starts growing from there and being a better partner and friend. And it's a great arc for him, like his relationship with Katya and how that ultimately pays off that he chose to care about her as a person and not
Yeah.
just as like an accessory.
Yeah, especially as we'll get to later things as we talk about our favorite scenes and stuff. But I liked the puzzly way that the train system was set up. I know you were kind of talking about the logistics of it. I like the big picture logistics of it, where it's like this repeating thing that they keep doing in the games as some sort of like propaganda for the empire that is the entire universe.
Yeah, that was an interesting addition. It's not just trains, it's propaganda trains.
Yeah. I am a sucker for some dystopian stories, so throwing in the alien world building with the propaganda of this empire and the competing political forces that are manipulating everything. That has definitely got me intrigued. That's what I wanted to see more of after the first book, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in this book we saw a little bit more of that come out. I still want a lot more of that, but we're
Yeah.
getting there. We're getting
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah. I'm worried about what's happening to Zev. I'm like, is Zev gonna be okay?
Yeah. Zev is so sweet. Like, she's just this cute little fish lady. She can't really, I mean, she's pretty small and, like, can't really protect herself. She's wearing this massive suit. She's just always trying to help them out, and she kind of, like, is being friends with Donut, which is kind of funny, a cat being friends with a fish. Like,
Yeah.
gotta admit, there's some irony there, especially when Donut just hates dogs for no reason. She's
Yeah. Oh,
racist
Donut
towards dogs.
hates
Just
dogs.
completely. And yet she loves Zev, who should be her natural prey, but they're building a relationship, but Zev is not part of the party. And the party keeps taking over, which is just classic fascism or totalitarianism,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
I hope we learn more about what happened in
Mm-hmm.
the next book, but it sounds like there was some sort of bad thing that happened outside of the dungeon that was
Yeah.
connected to the people that Zev is allied with. So I'm like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah. I have to imagine that people in this world watching someone like Carl, who is kind of doing the last thing any of them would expect, going out of his way to help as many people as he can at his own personal risk. There has to be a level of impact that has, that even as they do the editing propaganda, they can't really stop because he's got so many
Mm-hmm.
viewers that are watching it live and they can't edit it live. So there has to be an impact of that level of like humanity and kindness being portrayed to them in an unfiltered
Mm-hmm.
way. That propaganda. I mean, they try
Yeah.
to mess with him in the
Yeah,
propaganda.
they
Like,
really do. It's like that was an especially interesting part of this book is the fact coming out that other crawlers think Carl's crazy because they keep
mm-hmm.
showing him laughing maniacally and doing like vile stuff that he has
Yeah,
to do because the game forced him into it.
right. With that hyena creature, what is it called again? It starts with a
Oh,
G.
Noel, I
No,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
He had to kill it, what, 8 times
Just
to steal
keep
its.
chopping off its
No,
hands.
twice that many because I had to get one kill per hand because it was only the left hand. So he must have killed it like at least 16 times to get those hands to be able to. But it was sacrificing itself. It was like, oh my gosh, like this is. I'm fulfilling a greater purpose. Like, just don't make it hurt. Like, I thought that was really wholesome.
Yeah. Oh, sad
Yeah,
situation.
very sad. I feel like this book uncovered a lot of those sad moments, but I will say if we're okay going into things that we didn't like now. I did not like the subplot with that HR lady. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe we're supposed to really just hate her, but like I felt like it was almost a little distracting to have that, and she was just unlikable. I know that's probably the purpose, but I it worked. I didn't like her.
I mean, she was unlikable, but I don't know if she stuck out to me as particularly more unlikable than any of the other people we've met.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because I knew that in the end she was still like a pre-programmed person
Right.
made by someone else who was much more evil than that. So
Right.
it's like I can't be too mad at her because she's not herself. She's not
Right.
really in control of what her brain is doing. So,
That is true, but like even other characters, when they're faced with the reality, such as like that guy who learned that he's not actually a father, when he was faced with that reality, he started to help the crawlers because he knew that it wasn't real. And when she realized that it wasn't real, she was like doubling down and ended up getting.
but at the same time, I feel like if you've been programmed to be like
Yes.
she was, I feel like it'd be harder to snap out of it because you've
That's
literally
true.
been pre-programmed with those sorts of cyclical thinking of like, I'm better than everyone else and you're just lying to me and I'm going to ignore what you say. And
Right.
it's like, it's a lot harder to break out of that than if you're programmed with something
Right.
that's like less awful.
Yeah, maybe it just hits too close to home. I don't know, because
Yeah,
there
that's
was
fair enough.
even that little comment that Donut made about like hating people who think that they're being nice, but they're actually being mean.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was probably the one thing. And the other thing that I didn't like, and it actually made me very upset because if you guys have listened to the other episodes, you know he's my favorite character. Mordecai was out of like over half the book. I was genuinely upset by that. I
Oh.
mean, I understand there are actions and consequences, and he made the action of attacking someone in a safe space and got himself locked up for 7 days. But, like, when your favorite character just gets put into a black hole and you never see them for the rest of the book, like, it's a little frustrating.
Yeah, I can see how that could be frustrating. I don't think I'm as attached to Mordecai as you
Yeah.
are, so I wasn't like horribly upset about it, but it was like definitely annoying and problematic for certain like moments. It's like, man, if Mordecai was just here.
I just want to hear his snarky responses to what Carl's doing. And when he came back, I was like, yes, lay it on him, slap him, that he
It's like,
deserves it. He needs to
what
be
the
brought back to
heck have you
reality.
been doing, Carl?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like Mordecai. So it was sad for me that he was gone most of the book. So that definitely, if he was there more, I would have liked this book a little bit more.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. For me, I really liked this book a lot. I think really the only two complaints that I have are I do feel like the middle of the book dragged on longer
A
than it
little bit,
needed to. Like
yeah.
it was still fun, but as much as I loved the train shenanigans, I feel like we could have had less train shenanigans and more cookbook. I wanted more cookbook.
Yes, it's the name of the book.
That's really my main thing is like there was not like the cookbook was so interesting
Yeah.
and I loved all the parts where it was coming in, but I wanted more of that. I wanted to see like Carl finding ways to sneak off and read it instead of just being like, oh yeah, I had happened to read that yesterday. Like I wanted like the active process of him working through this book and discovering new things, and I don't know. I felt like that would have been really interesting, and I want to know more about the history
Yeah.
of the dungeon and all the people who've come before. So that may just be personal preference, but I wanted more cookbook.
I mean, I agree. In retrospect, I would have appreciated more of it as well. I loved each and every one of those scenes, so having more of those would not have made me upset. And yeah, the pacing did drag like a teensy bit in the middle, but my reading speed did not diminish because of that. So it was still entertaining enough that I still read it at a pretty reasonably fast pace.
No, yeah, for sure. Like as I mentioned, I was reading this while I was on vacation and just like sitting in airports between flights reading
Yeah.
this. And yeah, it was a good time. Like it was an excellent thing to keep me occupied while I was just sitting there waiting for stuff to happen. So
Heck yeah.
I can't complain about like the pacing or anything. Like the pacing was good. It was a good time.
It was definitely enjoyable. I mean, there's a reason we ranked it so high or
Yeah.
rated it so high because it is, yeah, from having read those three books, I would say it's probably my favorite at this point too, though there were a lot of things I liked about the second one. They're pretty close in terms of how I view them. Pretty close.
Yeah, for me, not close at all. I like the third one much better
It's
than the
the
second one.
trains.
It's the trains, it's the logistics. It's just,
Nerd.
yeah.
No, just kidding.
I mean, it's
We're both
fair. I
nerds. We're
literally
both
did an
nerds.
entire project on the history of the Barcelona Metro because I was so
Oh,
into
wow.
it. I
Okay.
was like, I got to do a history presentation. Well, the metro's cool. Let's do the presentation about that. This is
Amazing.
this is why this book was tailor-made for me.
This is fair. This is fair. I'm curious to see what will happen in the fourth book.
Sounds like we're going from trains to planes.
Ooh.
At least that's my understanding from the end of this book. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that.
We shall see very soon, very soon. But yeah, I think I mentioned it already, but my favorite character in this story was definitely Katya. I really loved her coming into her own throughout this story. Like at first, they're like, you know, she's too boring, she's not saying enough. I mean, we're talking about like a genuine, full-on introvert who just doesn't want to be a bother to anyone and just kind of like wants to be there and be supportive, but she gets forced into being more of a frontliner, and my favorite scene involves her. Some close second scenes that I really enjoy. One is just a small moment where she like turns her tongue into the middle finger. I just thought that was cute and funny. Like she's learning how to use her ability, and at the same time she's like playful with it, and she's got to the level of closeness that she feels she can flip Carl off without, you know, ruining their relationship or her position in their group. And the cleaning scene as well, where she's cleaning up all the blood, and then they make the announcement that liquids can no longer be held in the inventory, and then all her work is undone.
Ooh, yeah.
And they're just swimming. They're getting like accosted by like gallons and gallons and gallons of blood. But yeah, I really like her character, and we could talk about my favorite scene, but I figured I'd let you share your favorite character from this book first before I do that.
I also want to shout out, because we haven't really talked about it yet, is I really liked Donut's character development in
Yeah.
this story. Like, I think she's really, even more than the last book in this one, I really saw her like coming into her own when she had to
Yeah.
kill that crawler who tried to murder her, and like
I
she's
know.
dealing with the ramifications of that. That was like very much I don't know, like almost like a loss of childhood innocence moment where
Right.
she's like, I killed someone, I have
Yeah.
blood on my hands, I didn't mean to do it. It was kind of like heartbreaking watching her react to that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as the story goes along, when they get to the scene where the whole confrontation with Hecla, and then Donut's like, I admired you, but no, you are false, and like I'm
Yeah.
going to stand against you. And like that was also a really cool moment for her, just
Right.
being able to like form her own values and opinions and be like, no, like I know what I stand for, and you are not what I thought you were, and so I can't
Exactly.
support that. And then of course coming back for Carl in the very end, she's not gonna leave him behind. She just has a really good arc in that book. So
she does.
yeah.
Yeah, and I even want to call out the fact that after she killed that crawler, she got those tickets, which would basically give her a ton of bonuses if she killed either Carl or Katya. And she went out of her way to get rid of them. One that she hid on a train track when she thought no one was looking, but Katya had learned how to use a third eye, which is a cool ability that I am so stoked to see her figure out. Like, imagine the possibilities if she can see in 360. Anyway, I digress. And then Donut finally admitting that she did have those tickets, and not only did she put Carl's away, but she also got rid of Katya's, which was a concern, because we didn't get that answer for 12 chapters or something? We were just sitting with the knowledge that Donut had something that could be used against Katya, and then in the end, during that scene, she ends up being the reason Katya survives. So I thought that was really wholesome. This book is very wholesome, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It was like all the good, like positive character development. I love to see it.
But we've been dancing around it, so I think it's good to get into my favorite scene. We've talked about it, we've mentioned it, and now we're going to just dive a little bit deeper because there's so much to talk about. But that entire train sequence, from the time Hecla showed up to the time Hecla, yes, spoilers, died.
Yep.
That whole sequence is my favorite from the whole book. I don't know if other people are going to agree. I have to imagine someone out there would agree, but just the whole buildup of that, like Hecla shows up, she's got her whole posse of a bunch of women, and she comes in all like charm and grace, and she's like, no, we're going to work together. This will totally be cool. Like, everything will work out. Like, we'll help you, you help us. All the while, Carl's got that reminder from that lady. And if he hadn't had that warning, I think he would have fallen for it, because she was very genuine seeming based off what she was saying, and you know, the friendship she had with Katya, supposedly. And then freaking sick what Katya does for this scene. Like, she turns into this massive thing at the front of their train, which is kind of foreshadowing for the portals that they'll get later. But anyway, she's like killing a bunch of creatures, sucking them up, and she basically levels up, like 10 levels with just like that one trip, and becomes the most powerful crawler in the game after that, more or less. And then after all that, you're like, why isn't she healing? Why does she keep dying? And then, like you mentioned, Princess calls out that Hecla was trying to kill her with those invisible arrows, which she only saw because of the sunglasses, so thank God she had those. Yeah, just the emotional journey that Katya went, kind of realizing that Hecla had tried to kill her, all to basically have a pretext to kill Carl, was really harrowing. And her reaction, where she meant to attack Ava, but ended up attacking Hecla instead, I
Oh,
was like, thank
yeah.
God. Hecla is the one that needs to be taken out. But someone, he was talking, like, building it up, and, like, all of a sudden he's like, yeah, every once in a while she misses. I was like, get Hecla, get Hecla. I was hype. I was hyped for that because I felt like Hecla deserved it. And poor Katya. I felt really bad for
Yeah.
Katya. That was a really upsetting thing for
Yeah.
her to go through.
No, I kind of honestly I wasn't hype for her killing Hecla, not because I didn't think Hecla deserved it, but because I was like, oh no, this is gonna haunt her for so
Yeah,
long.
no,
I'm
that's
like,
true.
no,
Yeah.
poor Katya. Like,
Yeah.
Ava deserved it. Like, she was being
They both
absolutely
did.
awful. And so, like, Katya was, like, responding to her and then killed the wrong person. And I was like, I feel like I can relate to Katya as, like, an introvert who would not want to be, like, in the middle of all
Right.
this fighting and stuff. I don't know. I really felt for her in that moment. I was like, no, she killed the wrong person.
Yeah. I think both deserved it because Hecla literally used her for
Oh, yeah.
such a
Again,
long
not
time.
saying Hecla didn't
Yeah.
deserve it.
Yeah, that is definitely my favorite sequence. I mean, there's a lot of cool things that happen, especially later, like with the portals and stuff. But no, that whole sequence, I think that was kind of close to the midpoint, maybe like a little after. I thought that was really good and definitely my favorite part.
I mean, I will hands down say that was absolutely my favorite scene, but I'm just to throw something else in here. I do want to shout out like the very last chapter before the epilogue. Little just it's not even a scene, it's just a note written by Carl in the cookbook, and it's basically just like I realized what all the previous scholars did wrong. They didn't realize that like the only way to beat the dungeon is to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not the exact world, but yeah, like that was effectively what he said. And I was like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Like this is what I've been from the beginning of book one. That's why I was
Yeah.
so frustrated because I'm like, why do you not immediately go into this dungeon and be like, this dungeon is bad, let's destroy it?
Oh my gosh. That makes me think of that scene with the guy from the first book and the whole conversation about how he and his family fell apart when they came in the dungeons and they tried to force their daughter into doing all these horrible things, and all that ended up doing was ruining everything for her. And then he's like, I'm gonna give this to you as my last, like, screw you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a really harrowing scene as well. Because that was the same time that Donut killed somebody. While Donut was killing someone, Carl was getting this really disturbing tale of a pair of parents that did not care about their child.
Well, I think they did care. They just cared in the
In the most
absolutely
toxic way.
most toxic way, yeah. And I feel like that's what makes it worse is the fact
Yeah,
that they thought they were doing what was right for their child when they were just not.
not at all. Oh, that made me so mad. But I think that kind of feeds into the concept of the themes of this book, which is about relationships, or the series as it seems to be like building up to the power of relationships and love and like sacrificing for other people, because they did, I guess, technically sacrifice in the most horrible roundabout way for their daughter. They did technically try to sacrifice for her. And in their
Yeah.
defense, they didn't
Human
know that they couldn't,
sacrifice.
yeah, they didn't know that they couldn't attack in a safe room, so they didn't know that they were screwing her over by doing that, so I will give them that. But also, it's kind of messed up to give your daughter a murder ring and be like,
Yeah.
you pick your target and we're going to go kill them and then we're going to kill somebody else because you need to level up so that you can survive. Like, that's, I understand the sacrifice they were attempting to make, but that's also totally messed up.
Especially since she didn't want to be part of that, and they just
Mm-hmm.
kind of ignored her
Forced it on
wishes.
her.
So,
Yeah. And then she died in pain because she couldn't heal because of the ring's negative consequences. Like, all of it just made me so mad listening to that. And I could understand Carl equally upset.
but at the same time, I also like maybe I'm in the minority here, and I probably am because listen, I'm the person who preaches redemption arcs, but I felt bad for the dad too because it's like I
Mm.
just felt bad that he thought that he was doing the right thing and so clearly screwed up, and I think he sees it. Like that's why he's like sitting here to die. And it's like, I don't know.
I think he sees it, but I think he wasn't a good person before even coming into the dungeon, is the vibes I was getting based
Yeah.
off his
Listen,
story.
sometimes I feel bad for bad people too, okay? I can't help it.
I'm just like, no, this guy deserved everything that happened to him. He didn't die.
I
Well, he
feel
probably
bad for
will,
bad
but
people who recognize they're bad. I
yeah,
don't feel bad for bad people who think they're the best.
that's fair.
Those people I have no sympathy for.
That's fair. I will say I felt a modicum of sympathy for him underneath the swelling rage.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
So yeah, the contrast of killing people. I thought it was nice, like nice little foreshadowing, like author note here, the foreshadowing of him talking to the dad who killed somebody, then Donut kills somebody right away, and then what is it, like a few chapters later, Katya ends up killing Hecla. So I thought that escalation of stakes and killing people in the different contexts for how it can happen, I thought that was really interesting thematically.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I guess in terms of final things to discuss, anything about the world building that you liked best in this book?
Yeah, there was a moment, and I think it was when they got the item for Katya near the end. She got her sponsor box finally, which took until like the end. But her sponsor is the sister of the guy who tried to kill Carl. And so it's like, is she gonna be helpful or hurtful? And then she ends up giving like these really, I mean, from what he described, they sounded kind of overpowered combined with Katya's skills. Like, especially that shield. To find out that she might be assisting them in some way was incredibly compelling. I want more of this drama. This has like opened up the drama politically in a way that just makes me very excited. And just the way that the different characters realized that their memories were not real, slowly through different characters figuring it out. I thought that was really well executed and a really fascinating. I mean, I know it was told to us in the second book that happens, but also to like see it and for them to grapple with the reality of that was very compelling. And then, of course, the fact that it's just a bunch of propaganda for the alien party that's taking over, and they're just like every other corporation. They're cheapskates who are trying to maintain dominance. Yeah, just all of that was very compelling to me, like almost more than the actual story.
I agree. Like I think that was all compelling. I don't know if I thought it was more compelling than the actual story, but it was definitely very good. I just like the trains, okay? But
It's
no,
okay,
the
it's
thing
okay.
for me, I've already brought it up, is the cookbook. The
Mm-hmm.
cookbook is easily like my favorite new world building element that came in because
For sure.
I'm the history nerd here. I am the one who I've been waiting for something like this. I wanted to know the history of the past crawls and like
Mm-hmm.
what's happened and the people who've gone through them, and I'm like, yes, this book is what I want. Give me more, please.
Yeah. That was definitely a very interesting element, like getting the little snippets of the different crawlers and their different personalities, and yeah, I enjoyed that a lot as well.
But yeah, so I think that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on this book. Overall, super good. Really enjoyed it. Excited for the fourth book. I decided I
Yes.
was going to read another book in between, so I haven't started it yet, but I've been like partially regretting that because I'm like, I just want to read the fourth book now.
It's hard to choose when there's so many good books out there. I know I've been kind of reading every other has been a dungeon crawler, Carl. Like I
Hmm.
need a little bit of my sci-fi sprinkled in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I got to mix it up.
Yeah, exactly. But No, this was definitely my favorite so far, so I'm very intrigued to see how this continues going, and I want to know how many levels Carl's going to get to. Given how many books there are already, I have to imagine he gets past the 6th level. I have to imagine he probably gets past the 10th level, but we'll see. Will he get to level 18? That's the question.
No, see, my theory is that he's gonna burn it down before he gets that far. I sure hope he does.
I hope so. I wonder, because, like, no one's got to level 18, right? I want to know. We shall see. I'm excited. I'm excited to keep going. I can't lie. I've been talking to people about this book series all the time. I'm like, have you read it? You should read it. Read it. Get obsessed with it. Talk to me about it. Wait till you get your new achievement.
Yes. You can get the reward of reading the entire rest of the series.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, it's fun. We promise. Enter this giant tunnel here. There totally will be no consequences.
Totally safe. Totally cool. You'll be fine. But yeah, so tell us all your thoughts. If you've read this one, I want to know what were your favorite scenes. Did you like Katya as much as us? Any thought you have.
Am I alone, or is anyone else super excited that this had trains in it? Please let us know down in the comments.
Train fans, shout out in the
train
comments.
Train fans represent.
Put a train emoji in the chat if you're a fan.
Yes.
But until next time, like, subscribe, do all the things.
Yes, and we'll see you in book 4 review.
Woo! Bye-bye.